Hi, I'm Bob. I'm the father of the Nomad Capitalist, Andrew Henderson. We're in beautiful Budapest, Hungary, seeing a little bit of the Buda Castle District, which is the part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's on the Buda side of the river, the Danube River. We're on the Pest side here filming, and Andrew's asked me to talk to you about the three countries that interested me in 1996 and how that's still relevant today. So I know in a previous video, Andrew talked to you about he wishes his parents would have actually acted on some of these impulses back in 1996. That was about the time I began to get a little bit concerned about some of the things I saw in the United States. Well, quite frankly, in my view, it's probably much further down the track to today, and much more so in a negative way than 1996, which really looks like good times compared to today, but that may be another topic. In part, it may be a little bit of wanderlust on my part, because kind of maybe got the itch to travel some, but I was still in business and had a young family. So today, been able to take advantage of some of that traveling and living my life a little bit vicariously through Andrew. So what were those three countries? Well, Argentina. What interested me about Argentina was back in 1996, it had been a little less than 75 years since that country was the fourth wealthiest country in the world. And who would have suggested that? And then by the 1950s, a variety of politicians came in and really started doing things very damaging to the country. And they've had some boom and they've had some bust, and it's really not a very good situation today with hyperinflation and a government that in many ways is totalitarian, often going right up to the edge of bankruptcy. So I'm not sure that that one was the brightest thing, but you can see how quickly things change. If you find a country that 75 years ago was the fourth wealthiest in the world, and today look where it is, you need to be careful where you select. And you always have to have a plan B and a plan C and maybe a plan D as well. What other countries? Well, Chile was one that I thought had a great economic model because they got smart in the 1970s, and they followed the Chicago School, which is essentially Milton Friedman, the Chicago School with free market economics, which really has served them pretty well. And I'm not so sure about Chile going forward. I'm not sure they're located in the best location geographically in the world, but it's still maybe an interesting choice. My first choice was tiny New Zealand. They have more sheep than they have people on the two islands, North and South Island, about 4 million people at the time. And the county we lived in at the time, back in Ohio, was about the same size as the entire country in New Zealand. What fascinated me about New Zealand, one of the early socialist countries in the early 20th century, it got so bad in New Zealand that the Labour government, which was a leftist government, said, look, we can't continue on this route. We need to do something. Do you see that happening in America today, where the left says, no, we've got to go to more of a free market? No, they're probably continuing to move further to the left. So this really became a miracle in the country of New Zealand, and I thought, this is fascinating that the Labour government would do this. And so Andrew's mother and I went on a trip to New Zealand in 1996, and we stayed with families. And I remember one gentleman saying, I never thought I'd live to see the day that New Zealand would be like this. Now, unfortunately, they got stopped in their tracks a little bit because it is so difficult once you're way over here to make all the sacrifices necessary to go in a direction that's more free, that's more competitive, because people are used to subsidies, they're used to handouts and so on. Once you go down that route, once the train's heading down that route, it's so tough to bring it to where you become competitive again, and not necessarily a world power, but certainly raising living standards in your country. It's not an easy change. It takes some work, hard work, and sacrifice. So I thought at the time New Zealand was an interesting story. But it is still, like the United States and the UK and Canada and Australia, it's a lovely place, wonderful people, but the taxes are very high. It is not one of the more business-friendly places in the world. I mean, if you're looking to go somewhere and maybe save some money on taxes and maybe get away from some of the regulations, New Zealand is probably not the place. But in 1996, I found it very interesting. The point being, there are interesting places all over the world. But if that's your plan A, make sure you got a plan B and a plan C, because things can change pretty rapidly. I'm Bob Henderson, and I'm the father of the Nomad Capitalist from Budapest, Hungary.
Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.